Hello and welcome to the McTaggart podcast. It is Kevin's Monday Therapy for July 12th, 2021, where I rant about whatever I want to rant about. Basically, I rant until I feel better about things, um, usually, and I have a couple rants this week. Let me look at the topics that I covered because I got so angry. I forgot what I was saying. Um, I talked about the Billionaire Space Race. I talked about fishing. I talked about the phrase, if you ask me. I talked about um, every day is a snowflake. And I talked about one of the things that I liked about AEW that I really wish that the WWE would do as well. So sit back, listen, or watch, and I hope that you enjoy it. Or if you don't, um, I don't know what to tell you. It's just me getting angry about stuff, and people like when I get angry about stuff. So if you don't like someone getting mad, then good for you. But also, go fuck yourself. Anyway, enjoy the episode. So let's talk about the Billionaire Space Race. Um, as I'm recording this, Richard Branson, billionaire, um, from the Virgin billionaire, which sounds like a really weird thing to say. Uh, he's his space plane, the Virgin Galactic, uh, launched. I don't know what the space plane is called. I don't know. I don't care. I don't care what. Um. So that yeah, I, I love that there's a billionaire space race. I I I like that. That's entertaining to me. It's it's fun that all these um dudes with money. And why is it dudes with money? Are there any women billionaires who aren't billionaires? Just because their husbands are billionaires. I'm not meaning to sound sexist there or anything, but like, it seems to me when they list billionaires, they're all men. I mean, why? Like, I know Jeff Bezos' ex-wife is now a billionaire, but that's because she was married to Jeff Bezos, right? I'm like, why are all the billionaires men? That does that. I mean, I'm not trying to be sexist or anything. It's just something that I just noticed as I was about to record this, and I'm like, that's just, it's fucked up. It's fucked up. Do better. Make more money, women. Be richer. I guess. I don't know. Are there? I'm assuming there are women billionaires. I could look it up, but I don't really want to look it up. Anyway, I'm trying to talk about the space race, the billionaire space race. Branson is launching he's in his space plane today, right now, as I'm recording this. And it seems to have been successful. It's gliding back to Earth now. I'm watching it on ESPN. I'm watching it on CNN. And I just think that's uh, interesting. Like, I loved how it said Virgin Galactic launching founder into space. I'm like, are they expecting him to come back? Did they just launch him up there? Are they disappointed that he's returning? I'm not rooting for disaster here. I think it's great that um, billionaires are in the space race now. I encourage it. I not a big fan of NASA. Um, because NASA seems to suck. NASA doesn't seem to do a good job with their space racing. You know, we it's to me it seems like NASA, you know, like government, the bid goes to the lowest bidder. You know, and I'm just skeptical of that. You know, so I think it's good that billionaires with money and means they'll do whatever it takes to get up into space. If they want to get up into space, they'll do whatever it takes. They'll spend whatever money they can to get into space. I mean, they're charging millions and millions of dollars for these people to ride in their space plane with them. So why the hell not? I think it's a great idea to launch to to have the billionaires be in charge of the space race. Um, I mean, my fear is like, I mean, it's a bold move for them because I know Branson is in his space plane right now, and I think Bezos is going to be in his space plane later this week or something like that, and that's great. That's a bold move. But what if something goes wrong? I think it would be funny, you know. All the billionaires went up and did the space race, and they all blew up in their space planes. That's that would be funny, but it would also be tragic. But karma, right? It would be some sort of karma if they like launched in their space planes and disaster occurred. I'm not rooting for it. It's just an observation that I've made. I'm like, what if the space plane, there's a space plane accident? And I'm like, I'm not trying to say that I'm rooting for an accident, but I'm like, if it happens, I wouldn't feel that bad about it, to be honest. Like, with NASA, if the astronauts went up in the plane, in the shuttle, and it blew up, I would feel bad for those astronauts in the shuttle. Because they're normal people. They're people who worked their entire lives to be an astronaut, to achieve their goal, to go into space. So you would think that NASA would have the best vehicles for them to do that. And then disaster happens, as it does. And they die, and I feel bad, and it's just a horrible thing that would happen if it was like astronauts, trained astronauts. But these are like billionaires with like no training, and they're having other rich people ride with them. And I'm like, wouldn't feel so bad if something happened. You know? I'd feel sad, but I'd just be like, well, I mean, these idiots got into a fucking space plane that I don't know has really been tested all that well. I haven't heard about them doing that much testing. I think Branson did some testing like 7 years ago or something. There was an accident. Something blew up a couple years ago or something. So I'm like, how many tests have they done? I really should have looked into how many tests they've done, because this is like their first attempt to do it. It's a pretty fucking stupid thing to do if something bad happens. I wouldn't feel so bad about Bezos though, because like with Amazon, those drone things that they use to deliver the packages, those like shit just shows up on our porch. And it's just like laying there. I'm like, I never heard like a car come by or anything like that. So I'm like, drones. So from what I've heard of the Bezos space plane, it's like a huge automated drone that's going up into space that has people in it, which is great. Good. I think I prefer the Amazon space plane over the Virgin space plane because Virgins have never done it before. So how would they know what they're doing? How would they know what they're doing? They're virgins. So I guess good luck to all the billionaires with their space race. I hope that they do it because we need to get into space because we've fucked up the Earth so bad that it's going to become a rotting, fiery ball, and we're going to need people to know how to get us off this fiery, rotting ball that we're eventually going to be on because we don't fucking believe in climate change. Fuck climate change. Let's not try to worry about climate change. Let's just work on an escape plan at this point, which is a plot for any shitty movie. I was talking to a coworker earlier this week, and she was mentioning how her son and boyfriend were going fishing. And she was telling me about the fishing because I don't like fishing. I don't like to go fishing. I don't like seafood, and I also don't like fishing. you know. And I find nothing fun about fishing. There's too much stuff that I don't like about fishing to ever wanna go fishing. I've been fishing before, okay? I've been fishing in summer camp before, and it was boring. Like, seriously. You just sit there with your rod and reel. Like, I was in a boat, but we were like off the deck or whatever, fishing. And I'm like, that's as much fishing as I would want to do. I wouldn't want to do any. I wouldn't want to go in a boat and go fishing. I'd be worried about the boat. I'd be worried about the boat leaking, and or like be out in the sun, and I'd be worrying about that, and I'd just be worrying about getting sunburnt doing something I don't really like to do. Um, and another thing that like I was not aware of that my coworker told me was that like um you have to go at a certain time, the best times to go fishing, like when it's cooler or when it's raining. Apparently, yeah, that's what it is. When it's raining is the best time to go fishing. So you're out there and it's raining and you're on the water. So you've got the water hitting you and you have the water above you or below you. And you know why the best time to go fishing is when it's raining? Is because there's bugs on the water, usually. So there's another reason that I wouldn't want to go fishing, because there's like a layer of bugs across the water. Yeah. Who the fuck wants to go fishing when that when there's a bunch of so I'm in a boat on top of water and there's bugs there too. I'm like, I'm not a fan of bugs. I don't know anyone unless you're like an insect scientist, epidemiologist. I don't think I said that correctly, but like I'm just like, who I admire anyone that finds fishing exciting, that loves to fish. I'm sure there's great conversations you can have with a friend or family member when you're fishing, but you can also have those great conversations with a family member when you're on land. You can have those great conversations when you're inside talking to your friends and family members or anywhere else except on a little boat fishing. Just fishing doesn't seem exciting to me, especially with the bugs on top of the water. You're in a little boat, so you don't know. Is there a leak in the boat? Who knows? I don't want to go because I'm not a good swimmer. I can't swim, so there. But I'm just like, I don't want to. I don't want to go fishing. Fishing just doesn't seem fun to me. It doesn't seem like something fun that I would want to do is fish. I don't want to. I don't want to fish. It just doesn't. I don't get it. Plus, another thing that she mentioned to me was like, "Oh, they just do catch and release," and I'm like, "I've heard of that before, but I didn't really know what it is." So, like, catch and release is you catch the fish, you wait all this. So you wait all this time to catch a fish. Hours probably. You catch the fish. And then if you do catch and release, you just throw it back. What the fuck is the point of that? If you catch a fish, you catch the fish to eat it. You're telling me that there's most people who fish just do catch and release and catch the fish and don't keep it? Like, so I don't understand that, the whole catch and release thing. That's stupid. You're gonna waste all your time sitting in a little boat on top of water that probably has bugs on top of it, and you're fishing with a friend or family member that you could just talk to inside, and have great conversations instead of being on the boat and having great conversations with them. Also, if you're on a boat, isn't that a scene from The Godfather? You could get killed. What if that's also a great place to die? Here's something that people say that I hear it and I'm like, just stop talking. It's when people start a phrase with if you ask me. It's like they interject and say, well, if you ask me, nope, didn't ask you. If you ask me, blah 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 blah. I've lost interest in what you're about to say when you start a phrase, if you ask me. Because when I hear somebody say, well, if you ask me, nobody did. Nobody cares. Nobody cares that nobody asked you because they didn't want to ask you. Probably. Nobody asked you because they knew you'd probably interject with your asinine opinion. You know? Sure, you're listening in on the conversation, but you're only listening into the conversation. You don't need to interject with your, well, if you ask me, we should do this and blah and that and this and this and this, and I would do this if I was doing this, and that's me, and I just don't do that, and we should do this, and then blah 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 blah. See, that's all I fucking hear. If you come at me with, if you ask me, and you talk and you say whatever you're going to say, you've proven why nobody asked you. Like I really just don't give a damn whenever I hear somebody say, if you ask me. Because if you ask me, you're just full of shit. Okay? It's just stupid. It's just dumb. Like, it's just a stupid thing to say. It's just like word fodder that means fucking nothing. Just instead of saying, if you ask me, just say what you're saying. Don't come in with that egotistical, brash, condescending bullshit thing of a if you ask me. Because it's just dumb. It's just a dumb thing to say. I don't care. We didn't ask you. Right. Nobody asked. Just barge into the conversation. Don't barge into the conversation. If you have something to add to the conversation, don't start it with if you ask me. Cuz if you do that, then nobody's going to care what you have to say. I'm not going to care what you have to say if you barge in with if you ask me. It's just a dumb thing to say. It's just like a tick, a verbal tick or something like that. It's like you just want to say it to because you're too afraid to fucking say it in the first place. Well, just say it then. Don't start it with if you ask me. Because it's just a dumb fucking thing to say if you barge in to a conversation, if you enter a conversation with if you ask me. Because if you ask me, people who, interrupt conversations with if you ask me are just people who don't deserve to give their opinions in the first place. Don't be scared about giving your opinion. Don't be if you're going to start off by saying if you ask me, then if you ask me, you probably shouldn't say anything. Started a new job recently, and it's been a bit of a struggle, the learning curve, or getting used to what I'm doing, because I've always been used to jobs where it's basically the same thing every day. The same pattern, the same thing. I won't have to do anything. Uh, I know what I'm expecting. I know what to expect. And I like that. I like that. But at the same time, I've, I've it's bored me incessantly to do the same shit every day. And this job that I do now, part of it is like the opposite of that. And like I'm doing different things. I'm like, I don't know what to expect. There'll be certain circumstances where I can't just do this. There's really no pattern to it. There's no pattern to it. I'm used to jobs with a pattern, with a daily ritual, and that bored the shit out of me. And I found myself getting upset about this new thing I'm doing. And like it was stressful. It's stressful, and it was upsetting me. And I'm like, I didn't like how I was like doing different things all the time. I was on my feet and I was having to be active and I was actually having to do stuff and be busy. And like the day would end and be like, it's over already, and I'm like, it was frustrating to me. But then I realized this is exactly what I wanted. I did wanted it. And like, yes, every day is different, but that's fine. I'm doing different stuff every day, and like the day's flying by sometimes, most of the time when I have stuff to do, and that's great. I love it. It was freaking me out at first because like my body was not reacting to it well. Like I was stressed out. I was feeling anxiety. I didn't know what to expect, you know? But it's like, it dawned on me, this is exactly what I wanted. And that's wonderful. And like one phrase that has like helped me out with this past couple weeks is I just keep telling myself every day is like a snowflake. Every day is different. Every snowflake is different. Every day is different. I don't know what's going to happen one day compared to the next day. I don't. One day, one snowflake is light and fluffy and gently falls to the ground, and it's wonderful. The next snowflake could just be a chunk of ice that hits you in the goddamn eye and ruins your whole fucking day. Until the next snowflake comes down, and it's just wonderful. And then the next snowflake comes, and it turns out to be hail instead of snow. And hail just is. I fucking hate hail. Fucking snowflakes being different and all that shit. But that's what gets me through it. That's what gets me through it. Is just to think that every day is a snowflake. And some snowflakes are lovely. And some snowflakes can just go fuck themselves. One thing that I like about AEW Dynamite, and there's a lot that I like about AEW Dynamite, is that they have different matches every week. Every week it's different matches. And that's great. And that's something I've not been used to watching as a WWE fan. Because the WWE will have the same people fighting every week. Fighting each other every week. It's the same match. It's the same wrestlers fighting each other every week. Raw or SmackDown, they do that. NXT doesn't do that. But Raw and SmackDown, they do that. They'll have the same people fighting every week. Till you fucking get tired of it. Which makes no fucking sense. But AEW, every week, it's different people fighting each other. And it's great. Sometimes there is like they fight each other again sometimes, but like I haven't really noticed it that bad, and it's refreshing to watch, to see these people, to see different matches every week. Different wrestlers wrestling each other every week. Raw doesn't do that. SmackDown doesn't do that. I wish that they did. But they don't need to do that, I guess. They think why? Why not? We'll just put the same people out last week that we did this week. Why is that? If you want a fresh, refreshing product, have different people play. Have different people fight each other every week. That if you just did that, if the WWE just did that, had different people wrestling each other every week, that would be great. Do that. Don't have the same people wrestle each other every week. Have different matches. You can still set up storylines for the pay-per-views and whatnot, but I mean, just have different people fight each other every week. How hard is that to do? how fucking it must be really hard. Or it just says to me when the WWE has different people wrestle each other. Or when the WWE has the same goddamn matches on television every week. It just says to me that they just don't give a shit. They just don't care. They don't care that it's the same matches every week. They don't care that people are complaining that it's the same matches every week because people are still watching. Well, they're not watching as much as they used to. The ratings have definitely shown that. Because the ratings have dwindled a lot over the past couple of years. So maybe people are getting sick of the same matches every week. But AEW, they do different matches every week, and it's great. And it's refreshing. It's wonderful. I feel like AEW doesn't insult our intelligence, which is great. But WWE, with Raw and SmackDown, same matches every fucking week. And I'm like, who cares at this point? Have them wrestle once, and that's like, oh, great. Like, you can have them wrestle multiple times, But, like, don't have them wrestle each other 10 weeks in a row. Nobody cares. It's like we're watching a rerun. Are we watching a rerun? I feel like we're watching a fucking rerun. It's not. How can it be a live show when it feels like a goddamn rerun, WWE? If you're gonna fix one thing, stop having the same people wrestle each other every week. If you're gonna fix one thing, that's what I would do. Have different matches. Be interested in the matches. Realize, oh, these people wrestled last week. Yeah, who cares? Do it again. Who cares? The fans care. Those people that pay, that give you money? We'd probably give you more money if you had different matches every week. And that's the bottom line. If you smell what the McTaggart Attack podcast, available wherever you listen to podcasts and on YouTube, is cooking.